Timeless beauty, actress Catherine Zeta-Jones was a queen of the red carpet, an Academy Award winner, and the woman in a fairy tale marriage to the legendary Michael Douglas. But is it really a fairy tale? Behind the flawless red carpet photos lies a life full of storms. Catherine battled bipolar disorder and had to go to the hospital, and her husband was on the verge of dying from stage 4 throat cancer. Their multi-million-dollar marriage was shaken when they announced a split. There were rumors of cheating and irreparable cracks in the relationship, and Michael Douglas's son from a previous marriage was jailed on drug charges, throwing the whole family into an endless whirlwind of scandal. Just as things seemed to be getting back on track, another storm broke out. Michael Douglas was accused of sexual harassment, sending shockwaves through Hollywood. He had a successful career, a beautiful wife, and a life of luxury, but what was really going on behind the glamorous scenes of Hollywood? Catherine Zeta-Jones had the strength to get through it all. She knew she could only make her own opportunities in the entertainment business because she didn't have any family or insider ties. In her early years, she went to auditions over and over again, taking any part just to get on stage. One of her first chances came as an understudy in the musical 4 2nd Street, which was a small part but one that let her watch, learn, and wait for the right time. In 1990, she got her first lead role in the movie 101 Nights. It seemed like the big break she had been waiting for, but the movie bombed, leaving little trace in the public's memory. Undeterred, she kept working on small projects until she became famous with the TV show The Dark Darling, Buds of May 1991. The show was a huge hit in the UK, making Catherine one of the most sought-after TV actresses. But TV was never her ultimate goal. In the years that followed, she looked for work in Hollywood. United States. She was in a number of TV shows, including the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and the Titanic miniseries, but she never really broke through. That all changed in 1998, when Steven Spielberg finally noticed her and suggested she play the lead role in The Mask of Zorro. At first, big names like Penelope Cruz, Isabella Scorupco, and even Shakira were considered, but Catherine won the part, and to fully embody Elena Montero, she put in a lot of hard training, riding horses and fencing. She took dance and Spanish lessons to prepare for a performance that would captivate audiences. When the movie came out, it became a box office sensation, turning her from a TV star to a Hollywood A-lister. But fame doesn't come with stability. With the spotlight came constant pressure, public scrutiny, and personal struggles that no one could have predicted. Catherine's allure wasn't just about her talent, it was also shaped by a life full of ups and downs before she met Michael Douglas. Catherine Zeta-Jones was in a number of famous relationships, but none of them ended in marriage. Her first and most famous relationship was with John Leslie, a popular TV host in the UK. At first, their relationship was passionate, but Leslie's excessive jealousy soon became suffocating. He tried to control every aspect of her life, from her career to her personal relationships. He felt especially uncomfortable whenever Catherine interacted with male coworkers, and even voiced dissatisfaction with her rising success in acting. Catherine eventually broke up with John Leslie because he was too controlling and emotionally abusive. She decided to end the relationship, freeing herself from his control and focusing on the bright future ahead. This was a major turning point that allowed her to escape an overbearing love and pave the way for her Hollywood dreams. After her breakup with John Leslie, Catherine Zeta-Jones remained a media favorite, especially when she was linked to 2 famous British musicians, singer David Essex and pop star Mick Jagger. Hucknall, David Essex, a famous singer-songwriter known for his hits in the 1970s and 1980s, was often seen at high-profile events with Catherine, though neither of them publicly confirmed the relationship. British tabloids kept speculating about a short romance between the young actress and the experienced musician. Some sources said Essex, who was much older than Catherine, was smitten by her beauty and confidence. While the rumors about David Essex stayed vague, Catherine's relationship with Essex became clear. Mick Hucknall, the lead singer of Simply Red, was much more attractive, with fiery red hair and a carefree attitude. At the time, Hucknall was seen as one of the most desirable pop stars in the UK, and his relationship with Catherine quickly became news. Paparazzi often caught them together at fancy parties and nightclubs, and they were even photographed sharing a private moment at a London restaurant. However, like her other relationships, this one didn't last long, and Catherine soon found love again. After getting engaged to Angus MacFarlane, the Scottish actor best known for his role in Braveheart, in the mid-1990s, it looked like he would be the man she would walk down the aisle with. However, they broke up before the wedding could happen, and the real reason for their breakup is still a mystery. In 1998, Catherine Zeta-Jones was promoting The Mask of Zorro at the Deauville Film Festival in France, and she walked into one of the most fateful moments of her life. There was also a famous Hollywood actor promoting A Perfect Murder. They weren't there for each other, but a chance meeting changed everything. Michael Douglas was immediately captivated by Catherine's beauty, not just her striking looks, but also her confidence and strong presence. However, their first meeting didn't go as planned. When he saw Catherine in the hotel lobby, Douglas walked right past her without realizing it, and Catherine thought that if he really wanted to meet her, he should at least have paid more attention, she told her brother. I guess he doesn't really want to meet me that badly because he just walked right past me and didn't even know it was me, she said. But later that night, fate stepped in. Two of their mutual friends, Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith, set up a private dinner to introduce them. While the gathering was going on, Douglas politely asked if he could sit next to Catherine, and they started talking. They quickly became comfortable being with each other. Douglas made a big mistake that night. After about 30 minutes of talking at the bar, Catherine was getting ready to leave to promote a movie when Michael Douglas seized the moment with his usual confidence. He looked straight at her and said, "You know I'm going to be the father of your children." Unlike the subtle flirting she was used to, Douglas's comment was too bold and came too quickly. Catherine laughed, but not in the way he had hoped. She looked at him with some confusion before firmly telling him, "You know, I've heard a lot about you, and I've seen a lot of you, and I think now is the time for me to say goodnight." She then stood up and walked away, leaving Michael Douglas stunned. He knew he had made a bad first impression that night. Years later, when he talked about it on The Jonathan Ross Show in 2016, Douglas admitted that he had messed it up from the start. Luckily, that wasn't the end of the story. Douglas refused to give up. Michael Douglas wasn't one to give up easily, so he knew that Catherine was going to Scotland to film Entrapment with Sean Connery the next day. Not wanting to miss another chance, he secretly came up with a better way to impress her. When Catherine got to Scotland, a beautiful bouquet of roses and a card with a simple but meaningful message were waiting for her in her hotel room. "I'm sorry if I was too pushy, but I don't want to miss the chance to see you again." Catherine opened the card and couldn't help but smile. She was impressed by his persistence, but she also wondered if she was getting herself into something much more complicated. In the months that followed, Michael Douglas continued to show his interest with amazing patience. He sent her flowers, left messages, and called, but he never rushed her or put pressure on her. Instead, they started having long conversations on the phone, talking about different things, more than just work and life. They talked about deeper values and perspectives. 9 months after they met, Catherine realized that they had talked almost every day. At some point, Michael Douglas stopped being a distant acquaintance. She wasn't sure when it happened, but those conversations had become an important part of her life. Then it happened. Catherine could no longer deny the special bond between them, and on New Year's Eve she decided to start dating Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones were celebrating the start of the new millennium in their private home in Aspen, Colorado in 1999. They were both sick with the flu and feeling very tired, but Douglas was determined to make this moment unforgettable. In the flickering candlelight, he pulled out a vintage 10-carat Fred Leighton diamond ring surrounded by 28 smaller diamonds, worth about $1 million. He intended to propose, but Catherine said no. The Welsh actress laughed out loud, leaving Douglas confused for a moment. Years later, Douglas joked about the moment in an interview with Ross King on ITV in 2016, saying that he and Catherine were both sick as dogs with the flu, and that she told him that Catherine didn't actually reject him right after that playful reaction. She just nodded and said yes, marking a major turning point in both of their lives. At the time, the couple was already overjoyed with more good news. They were expecting their first child. Douglas told People magazine a month before the proposal that Catherine was pregnant, saying, "Obviously, we were hoping to keep it a secret a little longer, but yes, Catherine is expecting, and we couldn't be happier." He was confirming the rumors. In August 2000, Catherine gave birth to their first son, Dylan Douglas. He was Catherine's first child, but Michael Douglas's second. He already had a son, Cameron Douglas, born in 1978 from his first marriage to Deandra Lucier. There were tissues, cold medicine, and horror voices, but it was still one of the most important moments in their lives. Once their relationship became public, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas's 25-year age difference caused a lot of controversy. Many people doubted that their relationship would last because of the big age difference, but Catherine never saw it as an issue. She told everyone that their parents were the same age, so why should their love be judged any differently? It didn't matter how long they had been together, what mattered was how deeply they loved each other. Less than a year later, they got married in a huge $1.5 million ceremony at the Plaza Hotel in New York. It was one of the biggest and most expensive Hollywood weddings ever. On November 18, 2000, a historic event took place at the famous Plaza Hotel in New York, which is one of the world's most expensive venues. $5 million, which was a huge amount at the time. The guest list included Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Sean Connery, Brad Pitt, and Jack Nicholson. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a big event in the entertainment industry. Catherine looked stunning in a $250,000 Christian Lacroix wedding dress that was covered in beautiful crystals. Michael Douglas, the man who had spent almost 2 years winning her heart, stood waiting with his eyes filled with unmistakable pride. But there was one thing that made this wedding the center of attention. The prenuptial agreement got a lot of attention. Unlike many Hollywood love stories, this one had strict financial rules. Michael Douglas was 56 years old and had already been married for 23 years to Deandra Lucier, which ended in a shocking $5 million divorce settlement. He wanted to avoid making the same mistakes again, so he proposed a prenuptial agreement. But Catherine Zeta-Jones wasn't one to just accept things. She demanded a clause that sent shockwaves through Hollywood if Michael Douglas committed. Catherine would get between $1 million and $3 million for every year they had been married. This caused a huge stir in the media because it was the first time a young, beautiful actress was putting a firm financial safeguard in her marriage to a Hollywood legend. Some called her calculating, but Catherine wasn't naive. She knew how the entertainment business worked and wanted to protect herself. Michael Douglas didn't think twice about agreeing to all of the conditions. This was more than just a financial contract. It was To avoid media attention, Michael said that his love for Catherine was worth any cost. The couple sold exclusive wedding photo rights to OK magazine for $1 million, but even with this deal, the tabloid press still got to them. Hello magazine took and published 6 photos from the ceremony without permission, violating the couple's privacy, which they had worked hard to protect. Catherine and Michael were furious, and they sued Hello for copyright infringement and privacy violation. At first, the court ruled in their favor. In a 2005 appeal, the verdict was overturned, and the court decided that Hello had not caused significant harm. This meant that the magazine did not have to pay a large amount of money. The long lawsuit was annoying, and it made their wedding even more of a public spectacle, but once it was over, the couple quickly settled into their new life together and enjoyed the happiness of their growing family. Instead of a fancy honeymoon, they chose to spend time together in their apartment with... Just 1 month after the wedding, Douglas told Reuters, "There's nothing better than this." Catherine agreed wholeheartedly, saying, "I just want to echo my husband's words. There's nothing better than this." In 2003, Catherine and Michael welcomed their daughter, Karis Zeta Douglas, making their small family complete. Before Karis was born, the couple had been living full-time in Bermuda, a place that gave them peace and a break from Hollywood. In 2002, Michael Douglas told Architectural Digest, "It's truly comforting to return to this tiny island where I have so many relatives, probably around 70 people all in one place." He also said that Bermuda's closeness to New York, just a 90-minute flight away, made it a great place to balance family life without being too far from the film industry. Catherine and Michael had visited the island for Christmas the previous year and fell in love with it right away. Now we're even bringing some Welsh people to visit. Douglas was excited for them to move to Bermuda because it wasn't just a home, it was a way to give their kids the most normal childhood possible. Catherine once said that they wanted Dylan, their firstborn, to have a solid foundation and grow up with cousins his age. The decision to move to Bermuda seemed like the right one because Karis later said she didn't know her parents were famous when she was younger. In an interview with Town & Country, she said, "I thought my dad was a pancake maker. I didn't know he was famous." Was an actor, but by 2009, the Douglas family had to move back to the U.S. and settle in Bedford, New York. They loved living in Bermuda, but when they got back to the US, they couldn't escape the media frenzy. For Karis in particular, the constant attention from the paparazzi became a nightmare. She remembered, "I hated it. I used to get so annoyed they would jump on the subway and sit right in front of me. I was only 6 years old. I was so confused after years of living in privacy." Fame could never really be hidden, and soon they would face even bigger problems. The truth was that Catherine started showing signs of bipolar disorder right after giving birth to her daughter Karis Zeta Douglas in 2003. Bipolar disorder is a mental illness marked by extreme mood swings between intense euphoria and deep depression. She tried to hide her problems by always looking beautiful in public, but she was fighting an endless mental battle on the inside. The illness didn't just hurt her. Catherine refused to let anyone know that the woman who looked great on the red carpet was actually going through a lot of mental and physical pain, which led to several hospitalizations. But she kept everything to herself, and things got worse as she did so. In 2009, Michael Douglas's son Cameron Douglas was arrested and charged with heroin possession and methamphetamine distribution. He was given a 5-year prison sentence, which he eventually served. A longer sentence, which included 2 years in solitary confinement, for trying to sneak drugs into jail. Michael Douglas, who had built a successful career and reputation, had to watch his son be convicted of a crime. He felt terrible about it because he thought that his years of trying to be successful had led to Cameron's downfall. In a heartbreaking interview, Michael said, "I failed Cameron. He could have died out there, or someone could have killed him, but now at least in prison he has a chance to turn things around." Catherine, who wasn't Cameron's biological mother, couldn't help but feel the emotional toll this scandal took on their family. For years, she worked hard to cheer up her husband and deal with her own mental health issues, but the more she tried, the more tired she got. In 2010, Michael Douglas was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, which was a cruel diagnosis for a man who had once been at the top of Hollywood. For Catherine, it was the worst news of her life. She had spent her whole life trying to make him feel better. Putting her acting career on hold and canceling all of her projects so she could focus on his care, those months were a never-ending nightmare as she saw the strong, charismatic man she loved fall apart from the harsh effects of chemotherapy and radiation. Anyone who saw Michael Douglas during that time was shocked. He lost a shocking amount of weight, his voice got weaker, and he looked frail and unrecognizable. But no matter how much he suffered, Michael stayed strong and always tried to stay positive for his Catherine, who seemed strong on the outside, was actually filled with overwhelming anxiety. She had never imagined losing Michael, the man she had built a family with, and who had given her some of the best times of her life. That fear caused her depression to come back for a whole year. Catherine was under a lot of emotional stress and pushed herself to the limit to be the perfect wife and mother. But in reality, she was slowly falling apart in 2011. The same year, Michael Douglas announced he was leaving his wife. People thought that the Douglas family could finally find peace when, in reality, they couldn't. Catherine, who had been emotionally worn out for years, was admitted to a hospital to get treatment for bipolar disorder. This was the first time that she talked about her mental health problems in public, hoping that her story would help break the stigma around mental illness. She said, "I'm not someone who likes to talk about their personal life, but when my illness became public, I hope that by speaking out, I could help others understand that they are not alone." Mental illness is not something to be ashamed of, but just as Catherine was trying to get her strength back, another scandal happened that would destroy their marriage. Despite Catherine's best efforts to keep everything together, her condition got worse, and she had to go to the hospital for more treatment. Close friends said that Catherine fell apart after Michael got better, as if all the years of emotional stress had finally caught up with her. Even though she was getting help for her mental health problems, she was thrust back into the public eye when her husband made a shocking claim about his illness in an interview. He said that his throat cancer was caused by HPV, a virus that is spread through oral sex. His words immediately caused a media firestorm, and rumors spread about both Michael's health and his sexual history. Had nothing to do with the scandal, but all of a sudden she was the target of mean rumors. She felt betrayed and humiliated because Michael had shared such a private matter with the public, and she didn't want to be a part of the scandal. For a long time, she disappeared from public view, making no comments or statements. But everyone could see that cracks were starting to appear in what had seemed like an unbreakable marriage amid the chaos in their lives. In April 2013, Catherine Zeta-Jones went back to get professional help for her bipolar II disorder. She was doing a great job balancing everything, and her husband told people, "I'm proud of her." Their relationship seemed unbreakable after everything they had been through, but 4 months later, E! News reported that Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones had been secretly splitting up for months while promoting Behind the Candelabra. Douglas told reporters that they were working things out, but Zeta-Jones remained single. There was a lot of talk and speculation right away. Some sources said Michael had been cheating on Catherine, but there was never any proof. Others said Catherine had turned to alcohol and become deeply depressed after years of constant stress. Even Michael himself hinted that his wife was drinking too much, which made people even more suspicious. There were also rumors that Catherine was losing control of her emotions and having outbursts all the time, which made their relationship worse. Catherine kept her kids from the media's attention by living a private life and not making any public statements. Michael kept working, but his exhaustion and tension were clear every time he went out in public. No one knew what had really happened between them, but it was clear that their marriage was hanging by a thread. Then, after 8 months of separation, they got back together. No divorce papers were filed, no public fights broke out, and nothing normal happened. Hollywood-mile fights over assets or accusations, they just showed up together again without giving any grand explanations. This time, they wanted everyone to know that their love had come back stronger than ever. Michael Douglas later said, "We came back stronger than ever." No one fully understood what had led them to fight for their marriage, but one thing was clear: their love story wasn't a Hollywood cliché. It was a battle against fate, against their own emotional wounds. In 2017, after years of turmoil, the Douglas-Michaels son, Cameron Douglas, was finally released from prison after serving 7 years. He thanked his stepmother and the unwavering love of his family for helping him get through the worst times of his life. "She never gives up on anything, and she didn't give up on me," Cameron told the Mail on Sunday. "The love of my family helped me through my darkest days." Cameron also became a father, making Michael and Catherine grandparents, for Michael finally saw his son start a new chapter in his life, something he had once thought would never happen. But just when things seemed to be back to normal, in 2018, Susan Bro, a former employee of Michael Douglas's, accused him of sexual harassment by allegedly exposing himself and masturbating in front of her. The accusation got a lot of attention from the media, and Catherine was shocked and heartbroken, not sure if she could move on with her life. Catherine didn't trust her husband at first, but in the end she chose to stand by him. Michael strongly denied the accusations, saying they were made up. The case didn't go any further, but it did hurt his public image. Despite this, Catherine and Michael got through the scandal together and kept their marriage strong. In 2020, their daughter Karis graduated from high school and started getting ready for college, marking the start of the empty nest phase in their lives. Parents have to deal with the emptiness of their home when their children leave to start their own lives. After more than 20 years together, they realized it was now just the two of us now. Michael said, "It's scary that it's just the two of us now." To reconnect and to celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary, they decided to treat themselves to a trip once the pandemic was over. Catherine said that both she and Michael loved traveling and still had many places they wanted to see together in an interview. Catherine joked that Michael's nice genes made her feel like everything had happened too quickly. One minute they were dating, and the next they were celebrating their 20th anniversary with their son already in college and their daughter soon to follow in his footsteps. Despite their fame, Catherine and Michael never pushed or encouraged their children to become actors. They knew the bad side of fame and wanted Dylan and Karis to make their own decisions. They were very smart and studied history and politics. They also went to a Broadway theater camp and did very well, showing that the artistic spirit was still in the family. When the pandemic hit, Catherine and Michael had a hard time with their empty home at first, but Dylan and Karis returned unexpectedly, turning the quarantine period into a memorable family time. Catherine felt so grateful to be with her family and even compared their situation to other families, saying that they were lucky that they were together, stayed close and peaceful during these hard times. In 2021, a picture of Catherine and her daughter Karis Douglas standing next to each other went viral on social media. Many people were shocked by how much they looked alike. Catherine even joked that people kept telling her she looked like an older version of her daughter, but more than anything, she was very proud of Karis, especially when she got an A+ on her schoolwork. Despite everything, Catherine admitted that staying married for a long time isn't easy. She thought that to keep the spark alive in their love, couples sometimes needed to give each other personal space. She once made a funny comparison between marriage and buying an expensive Chanel handbag. At first you love it, but after a while you might not be as excited about it. However, she stressed that their love stayed strong. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, the Welsh beauty icon shared her secret to keeping the spark alive in her marriage. Marriage. My husband and I spend a lot of time together because I work 16-hour days and he does too. We share most of our free time together and have been through a lot of ups and downs and shared many happy moments. My husband is 25 years older than me, but that's not a secret in any relationship. What's important is that we always have each other. We keep our love and respect for each other alive, help each other in our jobs and in life, and most of all, we make each other happy. After years of Catherine Zeta-Jones rose above it all, despite illness, a divorce, and media scandals, she made a spectacular comeback that cemented her place in both the entertainment and business worlds, and she also kept her title as the Queen of the Red Carpet, a timeless fashion icon with an elegance and sophistication that hasn't been matched since the 1990s. Catherine's style combines the classic beauty of Hollywood with the refined luxury of European fashion. Every time she walked the red carpet, people were mesmerized by her dazzling presence, graceful demeanor, and impeccable fashion sense. Her 14 iconic outfits, each representing a major turning point in her career or personal life, are proof of her influence. These include the shimmering pale blue dress she wore in her early musical theater days, the stunning vintage red lace gown she wore in The Lion King. Each ensemble, like the Versace silk dress she wore to win her Oscar in 2003, showed how her career and style changed over time. In 2022, when she played Mortia Adams in Wednesday, Catherine solidified her gothic chic style even more, making her bold black dresses the talk of major fashion events. Catherine didn't just stop being a Hollywood icon or a fashion icon. She also showed herself to be a smart and strategic businesswoman, which contributed to her estimated star power. Her $150 million net worth came from more than just her successful movies. It also came from lucrative advertising deals with big brands like T-Mobile, Elizabeth Arden, Visa, and Alfa Romeo. Most importantly, she turned her great taste into a real brand with Casa Zeta-Jones, an empire. Her range of products included shoes, home decor, and high-end cosmetics. She wasn't just a brand ambassador, she was also involved in the creative process, from creating her own beauty line to working with Butterfly on a series of stylish ballet flats. As a star who was once on the verge of failure, Catherine has come back stronger than ever. She is not only a talented actress, but also a style icon, a successful businesswoman, and most of all, a story of resilience and perseverance in the never-ending world of entertainment. Do you think Catherine Zeta-Jones is one of the few stars who has been captivating for decades? From a poor girl in Wales to a Hollywood red carpet queen, from an ideal wife to a Catherine Zeta-Jones has not only been in the spotlight, but she has also fought to keep it shining on her. She may have been born with stunning beauty, but it was her incredible persistence that helped her make it in this cruel industry. They say that luck can get you to the top, but strength and determination can keep you there. Hollywood has seen many stars rise and fall, but Catherine Zeta-Jones remains a formidable presence, an unshakable icon. Could Catherine Zeta-Jones be one of Hollywood's immortal legends? Tell us what you think about her amazing story. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories about Hollywood's biggest stars. See you in the next video.